What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, or welcome this is your first time here. I'm not sure if I'm going to call this video 57 things to do until the Great Reset or 57 things to do until the collapse. But either way, we're going to talk about 57 different topics that I think are important and things to focus on as you get ready for what's coming. Now, obviously, you're not going to be able to do all 57 things all at once because some of these things take time and they take resources and finances. So not everyone's going to be able to do this complete list. But take this list and try to apply everything you can to you and get everything on this list accomplished, because it will definitely increase your overall survivability. Now, I can't cover each topic in great detail because, 57 topics. If I covered each one in great detail, that would take a complete course, and it would take, several days to actually watch that course, because I'm going to talk about things like gardening, for example, which is a very intensive topic and takes a long time to learn and a long time to master. However, I will link to some resources in the description box below to books and things like that to actually increase your knowledge on some of these topics. But anyways, let's start off with number one. And number one should be obvious to everyone who talked about this for decades in this prepper community, and that is the stockpile food. Food is something you have to live, obviously, and stockpiling that is definitely one of the top priorities of prepping. Get at least 3 months supply, preferably 6 months to a year or more, but definitely stockpile food and stockpile the food you normally eat from your local supermarket. And number two, stockpile water. Like food, you have to have water, fresh, clean drinking water. Stockpile as much as you can for the room you have in good solid containers. You don't want to put that in like milk jugs, for example, because those break down very quickly and you'll start leaking and things like that. So get good containers to stockpile that water in. Get a good water filter also. And number three, build your medical kit. You can buy pre-made, ready-made medical kits, and you can expand on those, and that's probably the best way to go for most people. And number four, stockpile antibiotics. If you can get these from your local doctor, that's great. There's also ways to get these with things like, fish mops and fish pen and things like that, but stockpile antibiotics because they can definitely save lives. Number five, learn first aid and CPR at a bare minimum. Get as much medical training as you can, but first aid and CPR at the minimum. Number six, buy a gun now. Preferably a 12-gauge pump-action shotgun because of the versatility. Number seven, learn how to use said gun safely and effectively, meaning get training. Number eight, develop alternative power sources for your home. Wind, solar, water, whatever you need and can use the resources where you are that fits to your situation. Use that as alternative power sources for your home. Number nine, build a comprehensive survival library. You can see back here, I have a pretty comprehensive survival library covering different topics. Go to work, look at what you have now as far as books goes, and expand that library to include topics that you think are very important that you need to learn about, and having those in paper form instead of trying to rely on the internet is definitely recommended. Number 10, stockpile energy. I'm talking about things like firewood, propane, gasoline, diesel, kerosene, things you can stockpile and put back to supply energy when needed. Number 11, stockpile non-hybrid heirloom vegetable seed. Number 12, plant a fruit tree or 10. The dwarf fruit trees produce more quickly. However, they will have obviously less fruit than a full-size tree, but I suggest planting those dwarf fruit trees now over the full-size trees because they will produce quicker. Number 13, start learning about and getting your garden area ready for planting, and actually plant that garden using those non-hybrid heirloom vegetable seeds. Gardening can be complicated, and it takes time to learn. It takes time to build that soil, so start doing that now. Number 14, learn about edible plants that grow in your area. Learn to identify those and learn how to harvest those and learn how to use those, and also learn about the medical herbs that grow wild in your local location. Number 15, find and map out all the water sources within 2-mile radius of where you are. Get a map, draw a circle, 2-mile radius circle on that map, and identify on the map or using something like Google Earth, and identify all the water sources and mark those down in your area, all the rivers, all the streams, all the lakes, all the farm ponds, everything in your area that has water, identify that, mark that, and note that on your map. Number 16, stop looking for a political savior. Politics, we see how politics works. Politics actually fixes nothing. It gives false hope. You can vote, 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 and nothing never changes. So stop looking for a political savior, especially at the federal level. And that brings me to number 17. Focus your political efforts locally. Your local mayor, your sheriff, your town council, your governor, your state officials. But as far as the federal goes, in my opinion, the federal is a lost cause. It's too completely corrupt. They're all corrupt. However, if you focus on your local county, your sheriff, your mayor, your alderman, you can actually, if you live in a small town especially, you can actually get access to those people. You might actually know those people personally. Whereas these people at the federal level, they're all corrupt, and they couldn't care less about anyone else or about your well-being. All they want to do is line their pockets. So focus your political efforts, your activism, locally. Number 18, spy on your neighbors. Now, I'm not talking about being nosy and trying to keep up with everything your neighbors do, but take a look at your neighbors honestly and assess your neighbors and try to figure out if those neighbors will be an asset, a liability, or a threat. Access that and try to plan accordingly of how you're going to treat that situation during, collapse or long-term power failure or something like that. What kind of neighbors do you have? Look at your neighbors honestly, assess your neighbors, and figure out where they are. They're going to be an asset, a liability, or a threat, and plan accordingly. And number 19, get to know your neighbors. It's difficult to know what your neighbors will do if you don't actually know your neighbors. Wave, say hello, speak, go over and talk, hang out together, figure things out, listen, and try to figure out what kind of neighbors are these. And that will help you determine if you're going to be, like I said in the previous point, to be an asset, a liability, or a threat. So get to know your neighbors. Number 20, stockpile rechargeable batteries. And a way to recharge those batteries, because you need those for like flashlights, radios, police scanners, and things like that. So stockpile those rechargeable batteries in the sizes that you need, and have ways, preferably several different ways, to keep those charged up. And number 21, get a good charger for those batteries. I already talked about that a minute ago. I jumped ahead of myself there, guys. Number 22, learn how to fish. Fish is, if I was trying to feed myself and had to get something very quickly, and I had a pond, a farm pond, for example, or a river, that would be my first place to go to try to catch something to eat. Learn how to fish, learn how to trap. You can make things like large cone traps with the funnel that goes back into that trap. It gets smaller as it goes in, and you can bait that, and those fish will go in, but they can't find their way back out. So it's a very good trap. So look at fish, learn how to fish, put back rod and reels and things like that, baits and things, and learn your skills, improve your skills, and learn how to trap fish also, because fish and birds are two of the easiest things to harvest if you are in desperate need and need something very quickly to fill the empty space in your stomach. Number 22, get a good police scanner so you can keep up with what's going on in your local community. Number 24, get two-way radios for everyone in your family or in your group. I prefer, actually, these Dakota Alert radios. These work on the mirrors system, and I don't think these will be as easy to spy on because most people don't have these. And number 25, get a good cold weather sleeping bag for every member in your family or group. Number 26, develop your own sign language. Work with your family, work with your group, and develop hand signals that if you give to your family members, they will know what they mean. No one else will know what they mean but you and your family. So develop those hand signals and be able to communicate at least a few different words, a few different phrases through sign language. You can be, several miles off, and someone could be able to see you with binoculars and not even have to broadcast through radio communication. You could actually do sign language to someone else that knows what you're doing, and anyone else watching wouldn't know what you was actually doing. And you can give communications and send messages that way. So develop a basic type sign language for you and your family and your group. And number 27, learn how to preserve your produce and your meat. Learn how to can that, learn how to freeze that, learn how to dry that, learn how to make that into jerky and things like that. But learn everything you can about preserving what you grow, what you catch, so you can make it last longer. If not, you have to eat that all at once and a lot will go to waste. So you need to be able to actually preserve that so you can have that later on and preserve that safely. And number 28, put back extra boots, walking shoes, and gloves for every member of your family or group. 29, raise chickens. 30, raise rabbits. If you don't want to eat those rabbits, you can always use that manure for fertilize for your garden that I mentioned earlier. Number 31, calculate your fire risk. If you live in the middle of a pine forest, for example, and it's a dry summer and forest fire breaks out, then there is a very good possibility that your house will catch on fire and burn down. So evaluate your fire risk and do the steps necessary to decrease that risk. Cut back the trees and things like that and develop ways to actually fight that fire if it happens, because sooner or later, more than likely, it's going to happen, especially with all these extreme droughts and weather events that we have nowadays. Number 32, harden your home security. Look at your windows. Look at your doors. Make those more secure. Have early warning devices on your property. Maybe a fence around your property. Maybe a dog, security systems, camera systems, things like that. But harden your home security, because as times get worse, crime will go up. So it's important to have a secure place, a safe place for you and your family. So do everything you can to harden your home and add on to your security. Number 33, keep a prepping journal. Write down everything you do, prep-wise, everything you spend, and everything you have now. Write down a journal of pretty much everything. That way you know where you are in your preps and where you need to go in your preps. And hopefully that will help you to make better decisions on what you need to be doing and when you need to be doing that, and save you actually time and money. Number 34, start walking. Of course, with the doctor's permission, of course, start walking and try to walk 30 minutes at least every day to get yourself in better shape. 35, obviously, stop smoking. 36, if you drink beer, stop, or at least learn how to brew that yourself, home brew. 37, get off prescription medications with your doctor's permission and all that disclaimer that goes with that, but try your best to get off any prescription medications, because there might come a time when you can't get those, and you don't want to be dependent on those if you can't get those, because it could cost you your life, obviously. So try to get off any prescription medications if at all possible. Number 38, govern yourself. Be ungovernable. You are your own king. You are your own master. Govern yourself. Make your own decisions based on what you know, on your own common sense. Govern your home, your family, but more importantly, govern yourself. 39, spend time prepping with your family. Include your family in all your prepping if you can. Gardening, fishing, hunting, going shooting, learning first aid, CPR. Involve your family, all of your family, including your children, as much as possible. And number 40, always carry a knife. Always carry a good knife. And 41, identify the informant in your group. If you're in a prepping group, if you're in a militia group or whatever, it's important to be able to identify those informants. And the best way to do that is to look at the one that's the most radical, the one that's the most screaming, let's do this, let's break these laws. That, more than likely, is your agent. If someone is always trying to get you to do things illegal, always trying to encourage and coerce you to do things that are against the law, the one that is the most extreme, that's usually your informant or your undercover agents in your group. And number 42, take your kids out of public schools. Public schools anymore are a cesspool of crap that you don't want your kids to be taught. So take your kids out of those public schools. And 43, homeschool your kids, or put those kids in private schools where you have more say-so over the curriculum that is actually taught to your children. But preferably homeschool your kids yourself, so you can instill the morals into your children that you want to instill into those children. Don't let the schools do it. Don't let the colleges do it. Even if the elementary schools, don't let the teachers raise your kids, because you won't be happy with the outcome, in my opinion. And number 44, assume that all communications are monitored. And they are. Every text message, every phone call, every email, everything you look at online, everything, all communications are monitored, logged, and tracked. Keep that in mind, always. And number 45, move out of the cities, out of the urban areas, into smaller rural communities. The less people you have in your community, actually the better off you are. Less trouble, less aggravation. So move out of those cities, those urban areas, to a small town if possible. Number 46, live below your means. You know, most people will complain, I can't afford the prep, I can't afford this, I can't afford that. And some can't. Many can't. Unfortunately, it's going to get worse as time goes on. The economy gets worse. However, a lot of people will be complaining and saying they can't prep, but they're still wasting money or living way above their means when they should be saving that money to be better prepared, more self-reliant. So definitely live below your means. Don't spend. It's going to get more difficult as time goes on, obviously, but try to spend less than what you make, and take anything you have, the surplus you have extra, if you have anything extra, and put that towards your prepping and your self-reliance. And number 47, realize that the police are not your friend. The police's job is to enforce the rules, regulations that's laid down by your government. And they will enforce those no matter if they are constitutional or not. We've seen that many, many times. Their job is to arrest you, gain evidence on you, prosecute you in court, and put you in jail. Their job is not to protect you. So realize that law enforcement, especially law enforcement in these urban areas, are not your friend. And guys, number 48 is extremely important. The mainstream media and the politicians, everything they say, you should look at everything they say, everything they repeat, everything they do as being a lie, dishonest, and corrupt, unless proven 100% otherwise. Corruption, fake news, do your own research, and look at all this that they say as being lies, dishonest, corruption, until proven 100% otherwise. And number 49, know your line in the sand. How far will you go? How far will you be pushed? When will you fight back? Know your line in the sand, and set that line in. Go over that line, come hell or high water. And number 50, and this isn't financial advice, this is just what I have done, is get your money out of the banks. Take your money out of the bank and invest that in something else that is more tangible than no paper currency. Again, not financial advice, but it's just what I do. And number 51, pay off your debts, especially any debts on your home. That's the most important one. Focus on that one first. If you owe a mortgage on your home to the bank, do everything you can to pay your home off and to be debt-free as far as your home is concerned. Once you get that, you can pay off your other debts, but focus mainly on your home mortgage. Pay that off because you want to own your home free and clear. You don't want the bank to come in and take your home, take your farm. And they will when the economy collapses. We saw during the Great Depression, or we read about during the Great Depression, that a lot of people lost their farms. This next collapse, people are going to lose their farms and their homes. So be debt-free if possible, especially owning your home outright. And number 52, learn how to disappear. You never know when you're going to just take off. Learn how to get a new identity. Learn how to disguise yourself to look differently. Have different places figured out you need to go to. Be able to disappear off the face of the earth. And number 53, to help you disappear, you want to have a go bag. This is different than a bug-out bag. The typical bug-out bag is ready to go to the woods to live, and that's one way you can disappear, actually. It's difficult, very, very difficult. For most people, your go bag will include things like cash, a firearm, things to disguise yourself with and things like that, and that go away, because like I said, you may have to just disappear at any moment. You can never can tell what's going to happen. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but the way things are, you can be an honest, law-abiding citizen today, and tomorrow you can be a criminal just because the laws change or something like that. So it's good to be able to up, leave, disappear. And number 54, I always check out, flea markets, yard sales, and things like that for survival supplies. You can be surprised what all you can find by stopping at a local yard sale. If your neighbor's having a yard sale or someone up the road's having a yard sale, you can stop, you can look. Most of the time you won't find anything, but sometimes you'll find a hidden gem. You'll find welders, you can find gardening tools, you can find clothing, boots, sleeping bags, camping equipment, everything like that people trying to sell. And there'll be more stuff like that available for sale, I think, as the economy keeps on getting worse, because people are going to want to turn those things they have into cash to pay their other bills and to buy food with. So they're going to be looking around at everything they have and say, what can I sell to get some quick cash here to go buy groceries, to have a yard sale, and hopefully, if you have some funds available yourself, you can pick that up rather cheaply. And guys, number 55 is to build your skills by doing. It's great to have a library. It's great to read, watch videos and things like that. You can pick up some information, some tips. However, the best way to learn these survival skills and keep those in your memory is to actually do. Get out and do. You can read about gardening all you want to. You can watch gardening videos. You can pick up a few pointers and a few tips. However, there's nothing better than actually getting out there and getting your hands in that soil, actually planting that seed, spreading that seed, nurturing that plant, growing that plant up to harvest, harvesting, cooking, and what you have left, preserving. Nothing beats doing with your own two hands. So learn those skills by actually doing. 56, again, this isn't financial advice, but invest in gold, silver, and lead. Lead meaning ammunition for those firearms. I talked about a firearm a minute ago, up at the first of this list, and you should have at least one, preferably more, with enough ammunition to last a long time, depending on how things turn out for those firearms. But invest in, after you get everything else done, invest in silver, gold, and lead. And guys, number 57 is to prepare yourself mentally. It's going to be, and this is already, stressful mentally. But when things collapse and as they progress more quickly, as it gets closer to the final fall off, it's going to be stressful mentally on you, your family, everyone around you. So prepare for it the best you can mentally. And the best way to do that is to accept what's happening. I'm not saying to not fight back. I'm just saying to accept this is what it is. We won't be shocked. Accept it for what it is and figure out what you need to do to make it through. If you enjoyed the video, give it a big thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and the Creekmore out here, and I'll see you guys in the next video, hopefully.